Dear friends, I'm Dr. James Walker. With more than 30 years in orthopedic medicine at major hospitals across the United States, I've had the privilege of meeting thousands of patients, people moving through a chapter of life that in one way or another, every person over 50 eventually feels. And what's interesting is this: most of them didn't come to see me because of sudden pain, not because they fell or got injured or pushed themselves too hard. They came for something different, quieter, deeper, and often difficult for them to describe. I want you to imagine this. One morning you wake up, place your feet on the floor, and suddenly notice your knees feel stiff, like someone locked them overnight. You take a few steps and hear that little click, just enough to make you pause. You twist your wrist to open a bottle of water and feel a sharp ache that travels all the way to your elbow. Not unbearable, just familiar. Familiar enough that you start living with it without even realizing. Have you ever felt that way? I know many of you are nodding, and I want you to understand you are not alone. Over the years, I've learned something very clear. We humans only truly listen to our bodies when they begin to speak in the language of pain. But joints don't scream, they whisper. The first signs of joint pain never arrive like a loud alarm. They show up like a gentle reminder. Something inside you is changing. I remember one of my patients, Jonathan, 68 years old. He walked into my clinic with a slight limp. His face looked calm, but it took me 1 second to see the discomfort he was trying to hide. When I asked him when the pain started, he smiled and said, "Doctor, I don't know. I guess it's been a long time. It came slowly, like getting older one day at a time." That sentence stayed with me, because I realized many people don't suffer because the disease is severe. They suffer because they ignored tiny signals for years. The body is truly remarkable. It always tries to heal itself before asking for help. But as we age, cartilage thins, joint fluid decreases, and silent inflammation appears, and all of it happens so slowly that we barely notice. Until one day we feel older inside our own legs. But today, my friends, I want to share something far more important than pain. Your body can still recover. Whether you're 50, 60, or even 75, 80, your joints still have the ability to heal just slower than before. And this is where food, especially fruit, becomes incredibly important. I'm not talking about expensive medications, not complicated treatments, not surgeries that many people fear. I'm talking about something simple, something nature has made for us, something you can hold in your hand, smell its aroma, take a bite and taste its natural sweetness. Fruit. Often dismissed as a snack, something like fruit contains compounds so powerful that scientists have spent decades studying them. And when it comes to joint health, fruit is not just dessert. It's anti-inflammatory medicine. It's nourishment for cartilage. It's gentle fuel for your body's healing process. Many of my patients, after adding the right fruits the right way, noticed improvements within weeks. Less pain, less stiffness, easier movement, lighter mornings. And that's why in this video series, I want to dive into the 5 most powerful fruits for people with joint pain, arthritis, and joint degeneration, fruits that reduce inflammation, naturally relieve pain safely, and even support cartilage repair. But before we go into each fruit, I want you to pause and ask yourself one question. Are you listening to your body, not with logic, but with awareness, with observation? With those tiny daily signals, heavier steps, longer morning stiffness, little cracking sounds when you bend. Your body never betrays you. It's simply waiting for you to care for it properly. And sometimes, starting with the smallest things, a cherry, a slice of pineapple, a kiwi, is enough to lay the first brick of your healing journey. My dear friends, if you're watching this video, chances are you're seeking a gentler, safer, more natural path for your joints. And I want to tell you, you are on the right path. We're not chasing quick, strong, or miracle solutions like so many ads out there. We're choosing the path nature has used for millions of years. Slow, steady, and truly effective. In the next part, I'll explain why fruit holds such special power for joint health. The mechanisms are simple, not academic or overwhelming, but enough to help you understand why so many people have transformed their health with them. But before we go to part 2, if you find this content valuable, please take a second to share this video with someone you love who also struggles with joint pain, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next episode. If you have questions, experiences, or personal stories, leave them in the comments. I read every single one, and I truly appreciate each of your shares. Dear friends, before we dive into each specific fruit, I want us to pause for a moment and understand something important. Something that once you truly grasp it will change the way you look at food forever. And that is this: your body was designed to heal itself. All it needs is the right ingredients. But here's the interesting part: most of those healing ingredients are found in the simplest things: fruit. I know, when people think about joint pain or arthritis, they immediately think of painkillers, anti-inflammatory medication, gels, injections, or even surgery. Almost no one thinks, maybe I should eat more fruit. It sounds too light, too mild, not strong enough to fight the pain you feel every day. But that's because we forget one fundamental truth. Inflammation is not the enemy. It's the body's way of responding when it isn't nourished properly or when it's overwhelmed. And fruit is one of the gentlest yet most powerful tools we have to rebalance that process. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met a patient named Margaret, 72 years old. She walked into my office with a bag full of medications, painkillers, anti-inflammatory supplements other doctors had recommended. She sat down, sighed, and said, "Doctor, the more I take, the worse I feel. I don't understand." I looked at her daily diet, and it was very similar to what many older adults in the U.S. eat. White bread, pasta, fried foods, very little vegetables, and almost no fruit. So I asked her, "Margaret, when was the last time you ate a cherry?" She laughed. "Oh, doctor, probably 15 years ago." Then I asked, "What about kiwi?" "I've never had one." "Pineapple?" "Don't really like it." Papaya. "Oh, I thought that was something you only find in Hawaii." And that's when I realized older adults do care about their health. They just don't know what essential things they're missing. I didn't prescribe more medication. I didn't change her dosage. I didn't ask her to exercise harder. I simply said, "Margaret, before I add any new medication, I want us to add one new fruit a day. Just one, no pressure." She smiled and agreed. 4 weeks later, she came back and said something I'll never forget. "Doctor, I don't know why, but I get up easier every morning now. I don't have to hold on to the chair anymore." My friends, that is the power of fruit. Not loud, not dramatic, not instant effectiveness that fades quickly, but gentle, quiet change from the inside out. So why does fruit have such healing power? I'll explain it in the simplest way possible so anyone can understand. 1. Fruit contains natural anti-inflammatory compounds stronger than many supplements. Imagine your body as a house. Over time, windstorms, sun, and rain slowly wear it down. That's oxidation. Antioxidants in fruit act like quiet repair workers. 2. Fruit provides vitamin C required to produce collagen that nourishes cartilage. No vitamin C, no collagen, thinner cartilage. 3. Fruit contains enzymes that accelerate joint recovery. 4. Fruit helps flush out inflammatory toxins. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that your body just needs something gentler? A message that says, return to what is natural. Before we move into the next section, where we will talk about the first fruit with the strongest anti-inflammatory power, I want to ask one small favor. If you find this content helpful, please press like, share it with your loved ones, and remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. If you have questions or personal stories, leave them in the comments. Dear friends, now we begin with the first fruit, one I always recommend to my patients when their joints are in pain, inflamed, stiff in the morning, or showing signs of advanced degeneration. And interestingly, it's a fruit most people have seen many times, yet rarely realize how powerful it truly is for joint health. I'm talking about cherries, small, bright red, but containing what I often call the strongest natural anti-inflammatory therapy in the fruit world. I want you to imagine this: you bite into a cherry, and the moment that sweet, tart flavor touches your tongue, millions of anthocyanin molecules, the pigment that gives cherries their rich red color, begin entering your bloodstream quietly, doing something even anti-inflammatory drugs struggle to match: extinguishing the fire of inflammation burning inside your joints. I know this may sound too natural to be true, but I have witnessed it hundreds of times in over 30 years of practice. Let me tell you about Richard, 67, a big man whose hands spent 40 years gripping a steering wheel as a long-haul truck driver. He walked into my office with a heavy gait every step, pressing onto his knees like a concrete block. He said, "Dr. Walker, I take my medication, but every morning my joints stay stiff for almost an hour. I feel like my legs don't even belong to me anymore. I looked at his tests and knew the issue wasn't the medication. The issue was silent inflammation. Medication simply pushed it down temporarily, but never addressed the root. I asked him, "Richard, do you like cherries?" He burst into laughter. "I love them so much my wife banned me from buying them because I finished the whole bag in one afternoon." I told him, "Perfect. But now you're not eating cherries for fun. You're eating them like medicine." I instructed him to have 1 cup of fresh cherries or 150 ml of pure cherry juice every day, no sugar, no diluting, nothing added. Just consistency, I said, and your body will show you the answer. 3 weeks later, he returned. He opened my office door with ease, something he couldn't do before. He said, "Shocked, doctor? This morning I was only stiff for 10 minutes, and each step doesn't hurt like before. Can cherry really do this?" I smiled. "It's not just the cherry, Richard. It's that your body already knows how to heal itself. The cherry is just the catalyst." My friend's cherries contain anthocyanins, anti-inflammatory compounds so strong that many studies compare their effects to mild doses of ibuprofen. But the difference is, anthocyanins don't hurt your stomach, don't raise liver enzymes, don't strain your heart. They work smarter, softer, more naturally like a skilled craftsman, repairing each tissue fiber, each blood vessel, each damaged cell. When I explain this to older patients, they often ask, "Doctor, can cherries really reduce inflammation?" I always say they don't just reduce it, they change the environment inside your joints. Inflammation is like weeds growing in a garden. If you only cut the top, they grow again. But if you improve the soil, the weeds cannot thrive. Cherries help improve the soil. But I don't want you to see this as magic. There is no magic. This is simply the science of nature, a science we sometimes forget as we chase pills and procedures. Cherry compounds lower inflammatory proteins, reduce swelling, ease pain, and most importantly, help your joints move more smoothly. I remember Evelyn, 74, who had knee arthritis for nearly 15 years. She tried everything: heat, ice, massage, pain medication, physical therapy. She said, "Doctor, I just want to walk around my garden without pain. That's all. Not a marathon, not dancing, not anything dramatic, just walking through the little garden behind her home." I told her to try cherries daily for 30 days. Week 1, nothing changed. Week 2, she slept better because her nighttime pain lessened. Week 3, she no longer needed to hold onto a chair when standing up. Week 4, with teary eyes, she said, "Doctor, I walked through my whole garden this morning. I haven't felt that in years." If you've ever had joint pain, you know exactly how precious that moment is. Cherries won't make your joints young overnight. They won't restore cartilage in a day. But they do something modern medicine often forgets: they reduce the inflammatory burden, giving the body a chance to repair itself. Remember, this inflammation is the root of joint pain, from osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, gout, to bursitis. And cherries are one of the rare natural tools that reach the root. All they need is time. People ask, "Doctor, should I eat fresh cherries or drink cherry juice?" I always say, whichever you can maintain consistently. Fresh cherries are excellent, but not always in season. Pure juice is a great option, but no sugar, no additives, because sugar worsens inflammation. The most important thing is not the form, but the consistency. My friends, when I think of cherries, I think of beginnings. The beginning of a gentle healing journey in natural, patient, and respectful of your body's pace. I want you to try it, not because I say so, but because your body deserves that chance. And if you've listened to this part of the video, it means you truly care about your health. So before we move to part 4, the next fruit with powerful joint healing benefits that many people overlook, I want to ask one small favor, please. Like this video, share it with loved ones who struggle with joint pain, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. If you've ever used cherries for pain relief or have a question, leave a comment. I read all of them, and I appreciate every single story you share. Dear friends, after our discussion about cherries, the natural firefighter that helps extinguish inflammation, I want to bring you to another fruit, one that is powerful in a very different way. Not bright red like cherries, not cute and tiny like a natural candy, but a fruit that scientists have spent decades studying. Pineapple. Many people think pineapple is simply a sweet tropical fruit, something for dessert or a refreshing summer juice. But for me and for many of my patients over the past 30 years, pineapple is like a natural joint therapist. That's because it contains a compound anyone with joint pain, arthritis, or degeneration needs to know about bromelain. I want you to imagine your body as a city and inflammation as blocked streets filled with debris. Bromelain is the cleanup crew quietly moving in, clearing every blocked path, allowing traffic, blood flow, nutrients, and movement to flow freely again. To help you understand, let me tell you about a patient I will never forget, Helen, 71. She was a kind, gentle woman who always smiled, but behind that smile was years of suffering. She had grade 3 knee osteoarthritis, meaning her cartilage was worn down, her joint fluid reduced, and every step up or down the stairs made her wince. When she walked into my office, she sat down slowly, carefully holding her knee with both hands as if it were fragile glass. I asked her to rate her pain on a scale of 1 to 10. She said about 8, sometimes 9. I asked what she had tried. She listed painkillers, gels, heat ice, physical therapy, and then she gave a sad smile. "Doctor, I don't want more medication. I want something gentler." This is something I hear often from people in their 60s and 70s. I want something gentler, not because they fear medicine, not because they lack trust, but because their bodies simply cannot tolerate more side effects. I looked at her and asked, "Helen, do you like pineapple?" She burst into laughter, surprised and amused. "Doctor, I love it so much, I could eat the whole fruit." I laughed with her. "Well, that's good, because your body needs it." I explained that bromelain, an enzyme in pineapple, has anti-inflammatory, anti-swelling, and pain-reducing effects strong enough that doctors in Germany and Japan sometimes use it as an alternative to mild anti-inflammatory medication. But the most important thing is that bromelain doesn't just reduce inflammation, it breaks down inflammatory proteins that accumulate in the joints, like clearing a sewer that has been clogged for years. She listened intently. And when I told her pineapple also improves digestion, reduces bloating, and increases nutrient absorption, she nodded as if rediscovering hope she had long lost. I told her to eat pineapple after meals when bromelain is often absorbed better. A small portion every day, no pressure, just consistency. 2 weeks later, she returned. She opened the clinic door faster. She sat down without bracing herself. She smiled and said something every doctor hopes to hear. "Doctor, I don't know what pineapple is doing inside my body, but it's doing something real." I asked what changed. She said, "I still have pain, but it's less. Before it was 8, 9. Now maybe 5 to 6, and I get up faster. I walk lighter. My morning stiffness is shorter." My friends, this is not magic. This is the quiet work of bromelain inside inflamed tissue. When inflammation decreases, the joint is no longer squeezed, irritated, or tense. The body finally has room to repair itself. People often ask me, "Doctor, does pineapple regrow cartilage?" I answer truthfully, no fruit can regrow cartilage. But some fruits protect what remains slow, the degeneration, reduce inflammation, and reduce pressure on the joint. And pineapple is one of the strongest. Pineapple is like a companion helping you get through difficult days more gently. It doesn't replace medication or doctors, but it supports the healing journey naturally, safely, and sustainably. One important note, pineapple has mild acidity and may cause discomfort on an empty stomach, so eat it after meals. If you have stomach issues, eat a small amount and see how your body responds. Your body always speaks, you just have to listen. And one more thing, many patients tell me when they eat pineapple regularly, their body feels lighter, less heavy, less sluggish. That's because when inflammation decreases, joint fluid becomes smoother, and the body no longer battles inflammatory proteins all day. You move easier, stand up faster, and feel a bit younger than your age. I believe you, those watching this video, want that too. Not to be 20 or 30 again, not to run marathons, not to dance like you did years ago, but simply to live daily life without pain, walking in the park, gardening, cooking, caring for grandchildren, or standing up from a chair without wincing. And if a fruit like pineapple can bring you closer to that, why not try? Dear friends, before we move to part 5, where I will reveal a tiny fruit loaded with vitamin C that can help your cartilage recover faster, I want to ask a small favor. If this content helps you, please press like, share the video with loved ones who suffer joint pain, and remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. If you've used pineapple for pain relief or have a question, leave a comment. I read and appreciate every story you share. Dear friends, when we talk about fruits that support joint health, there is one small fruit that is often overlooked, yet carries a power that even experienced physicians like me deeply respect. That fruit is kiwi. Kiwi is not a showy fruit. It's not bright red like cherries. It doesn't have the explosive aroma of pineapple. It's humble small with a fuzzy skin that doesn't look nutritious at first glance. But inside, it holds a treasure that people with joint pain, especially after age 50 or 60, truly need. Kiwi contains more vitamin C than oranges and more than many naturally sour fruits. And vitamin C, as I've shared before, is essential for your body to produce collagen, the material that nourishes cartilage tendons, ligaments, and connective tissues. I remember a patient from a few years ago, George, 65. He came to see me with shoulder pain, knee pain, and wrist pain. He had worked many years as a postal worker, carrying heavy mail bags and walking for hours every day. In his youth, his body could handle everything. But after he retired, pain suddenly hit him all at once. He said to me, tired and frustrated, "Doctor, I don't understand why the less I move, the more my joints hurt." This sentence, many of you watching this video may have felt the same. When we're young, we move more, but hurt less. When we're older, we move less, but hurt more. Is the body betraying us? No, my friends, the body never betrays you. It's simply telling you that your joint tissues need nourishment again, like an old roof that can no longer be patched up and must be rebuilt properly. I asked George about his diet, and like many people, he ate everything, except fruit. I asked if he liked kiwi. He frowned. "I've never eaten one. It looks strange. I thought it was too sour." I smiled and said, "Try it. Kiwi is one of the keys to joint recovery." I explained that kiwi is not only rich in vitamin C, it also contains vitamin K, fiber, potassium, folate, and most importantly, powerful antioxidants that help repair microscopic damage we cannot see. I told him that collagen in cartilage is like the strings of an instrument. When strings age, the sound becomes dull, weak, and rough. But when you provide enough vitamin C, like giving a craftsman the right tools, they can tighten the strings, replace the worn ones, and make the instrument sing again. Our bodies work the same way. Kiwi is that toolkit. I instructed George to eat 1 to 2 kiwis a day, morning or afternoon, whatever fit his routine. I told him, don't expect immediate results. Give your body time. 3 weeks later, he walked into my office looking completely different. He sat down more smoothly, rotated his shoulder comfortably, and said something I've heard many times, but it never stops making me smile. "Doctor, I think my body's waking up again." I asked for specifics. He said, "In the morning, my knees no longer feel like wooden blocks. I can twist open a bottle without that sharp wrist pain. And my shoulder now, I can actually lift my arm higher." I nodded. Those are signs of true recovery. Not magical, not fast, but real, coming from within. My friends, kiwi has the ability to neutralize free radicals, those molecules that damage cells, accelerate cartilage degeneration, and fuel chronic inflammation. When inflammation decreases, when tissues are nourished with new collagen, joints begin to breathe again. You stand up easier. You turn more naturally. You walk without asking yourself, will it hurt? Another thing many people don't know, kiwi contains actinidin, an enzyme that helps digest protein more efficiently. This is incredibly important for older adults because digestion weakens, nutrient absorption drops, and the body lacks the raw materials needed to repair tissues. Kiwi improves absorption, like opening windows to let light into a dark room. I've met many people in their 60s and 70s who told me they tried everything: joint supplements, cartilage pills, collagen powders, all kinds of products sold on TV. But nothing changed. And when I looked at their diet, I saw one common issue: severe vitamin C deficiency. They didn't know that vitamin C isn't just for immunity. Vitamin C is the foundation of cartilage repair. Without it, every collagen supplement you take is like trying to build a house without cement. Kiwi is that cement. And the beautiful thing is this kiwi is easy to eat, easy to buy, and easy to maintain. You don't need complicated preparation. Just cut it in half, scoop it with a spoon, let the refreshing sweetness touch your tongue, and know that each spoonful helps nourish your tired knees, hips, and shoulders. I remember another patient, Marie, 76, who had rheumatoid arthritis for many years. After nearly a month of eating kiwi daily, she said, "Doctor, I don't know if it's the kiwi, but I feel less heavy. I feel like I have more energy." And she was right. Inflammation doesn't just cause pain. It steals energy, spirit, and the natural lightness of the body. When inflammation drops, we don't just hurt less, we feel more alive. I want you to imagine this. One morning you wake up, set your feet on the floor, and notice your knees are no longer resisting you. You take a few steps and your body moves comfortably. Not perfect, not pain-free, but lighter, more natural. And in that moment, you realize that a small effort, a kiwi a day, is not small at all. My friend's healing often comes from simple things, not always from clinics' advanced technologies or complex treatments. Sometimes it comes from a small kiwi you hold in your hand each morning. Before we move to the next section where I'll share a fruit rich in healthy fats, exceptionally anti-inflammatory and protective for cartilage, I want to ask a small favor. If you find this content helpful, please like this video, share it with loved ones suffering joint pain, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next parts. If you have a question, personal story, or your own experience, leave a comment. I read and appreciate every message you share. Dear friends, if cherries are the inflammation fighters, pineapple is the tissue cleaning specialist, and kiwi is the collagen building craftsman, then the fruit we're about to talk about now has a very different kind of power. One that comes from gentleness, from healthy fats, and from nutrients that the aging body desperately needs but rarely gets enough of. I want to introduce you to avocado, the smooth, creamy green fruit that feels like a gift nature created specifically for joint health. When I was a young doctor, I believed fat was something to avoid. It caused weight gain, clogged arteries, and created all kinds of health problems. But as I reached middle age and began working with thousands of older patients, I realized the problem wasn't fat itself, it was the kind of fat we were eating. And avocado is the perfect example of the right kind of fat, the kind that soothes the body, softens connective tissues, lubricates joints, and reduces inflammation like high-quality oil applied to an old machine. I remember one patient, Lillian, 73 years old. She had suffered from chronic hip pain for years. She was once a dance instructor. Her life was built on movement, rhythm, and grace. But after age 65, she could no longer continue her passion. She told me during our first appointment, "Doctor, every step feels like I'm dragging my whole body. I miss the feeling of moving without thinking about pain." I opened her nutritional record. Cerise Chornemon, Derirun, breakfast sandwich, lunch salad with no dressing, dinner lean meat and rice, cipronopoin, and almost no healthy fats. I asked, "Lillian, do you eat avocado?" She laughed. "Doctor, I avoided avocado my whole life because I thought it made me gain weight." I looked at her and said, "It's not avocado that makes us gain weight. It's the fear of fat that makes us deprive our joints of what they need to survive." I explained that avocado contains omega-9 vitamin E and monounsaturated fats, all of which reduce inflammation, improve joint lubrication, and help the body absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K nutrients, crucial for cartilage, ligaments, and total mobility. But the most extraordinary thing in avocado is ASU, avocado soybean unsaponifiables. This compound has been studied for decades in France, Germany, and the US, showing that it slows cartilage degeneration, reduces pain, decreases morning stiffness, and protects remaining cartilage. I told Lillian, avocado won't heal your joints overnight, but it creates the environment your joints need in order to heal. She listened as if I had just opened a new doorway for her. I instructed her to eat half an avocado per day, with whole grain bread mixed into salad or simply scooped with a spoon. Think of it as the gentlest medicine nature made for your joints, I said. 2 weeks later, she returned walking lighter, less stiff. She said, "Doctor, something is changing. I don't stand up as slowly anymore. My hip feels less stuck." I smiled. "That's your body recovering. The avocado just makes it easier." My friends, one thing I want to emphasize is that older adults are often deficient in vitamin E, yet vitamin E is one of the most important nutrients for reducing inflammation. Without it, joint tissues become fragile, ligaments stiffen, and mobility decreases. Avocado is one of the best natural sources of vitamin E. The healthy fats in avocado also help reduce systemic inflammation, stabilize hormones, improve digestion, offer increased nutrient absorption, and naturally lubricate joint tissues. I often tell patients, if cherries are the firefighters, pineapple is the road cleaning crew, and kiwi is the collagen builder, then avocado is the foundation repair specialist. It keeps the building materials in your joints in their best condition. Let me tell you another story. Samuel, 69, had such severe hand arthritis that every morning he had to soak his hands in warm water for 15 minutes before he could move his fingers. He was a carpenter before retiring. His hands once created beautiful pieces of woodwork, but now they were the greatest source of pain. When reviewing his diet, I asked, "Do you ever eat avocado?" He looked at me as if I were describing something foreign. "I don't like it. Never ate it as a kid. Don't want to start now." I smiled and said, "Your body doesn't care whether you like it. It only cares about what it needs." He laughed and eventually agreed to try. He mixed half an avocado into his daily salad. Nothing more, nothing less. 3 weeks later, he could move his fingers more easily. One morning, he proudly told me, "Doctor, I opened a jar of fish sauce without asking my wife for help." For most people, that's a small thing. For someone who lost that ability, it's a victory. My friend's recovery doesn't always come in a big moment. Sometimes it comes in a morning with less pain, a lighter step, a shoulder lift without holding your breath. And avocado, this gentle fruit, can be part of that journey. Imagine this. If each day you gave your body something that reduces inflammation, protects cartilage, nourishes joint tissues, improves digestion, and increases vitamin absorption, what would your joints feel like after 30 days? Not magic, not instant recovery, but steady, sustainable change. Before we move to the next section, the final fruit, the strongest cartilage protector of them all, I want to invite you to support this journey. If you find this video valuable, please like it so YouTube can share it with more people. Share it with loved ones struggling with joint pain. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. If you have your own story about avocado or any question about joints health or nutrition, leave a comment. I read every message, and I truly appreciate every one of your shares. Dear friends, when we talk about the best fruits for joint health, I want to dedicate this section to a fruit that many people in the United States hardly eat. Or if they do, they eat very little, yet it carries a healing power. I consider quiet but enduring. A fruit that isn't flashy, isn't expensive, but is filled with nutrients the aging body desperately needs, especially those living with joint pain, arthritis, or degeneration. That fruit is papaya. When most people think of papaya, they think of dessert, a soft, sweet, easy-to-eat fruit. But as a doctor with more than 30 years of experience, I see papaya as a cartilage therapist, a fruit capable of reducing inflammation, nourishing cartilage, and supporting recovery in a gentle, yet remarkably effective way. The true magic of papaya comes from two things: its surprisingly high vitamin C content and its powerful enzyme papain, a compound that helps break down inflammatory proteins, supports digestion, and reduces pressure on the joints. The first time I read research on papain, I remember sitting still for several minutes thinking that nature truly knows how to take care of us more than we often realize. Let me tell you a story about a man named Michael, 70 years old, a retired structural engineer. His body was once accustomed to climbing ladders carrying materials and walking across massive construction sites. But after retirement, he faced something he never expected: an ache in both knees so deep and constant that he could no longer walk even a single lap around his neighborhood. He came to see me one autumn afternoon. As he sat down, his face tightened slightly. He said, "Doctor, I don't want to take more medication. I don't want my stomach suffering every day, but I also don't want to live with this pain." I asked about his diet, and like many older Americans, he ate very little fruit and almost never papaya. He said he tried it once in Hawaii but never thought about it again. I smiled and said, "Michael, your body needs the two things papaya has the most: vitamin C and papain." He chuckled. "I know vitamin C helps with colds, but papain, never heard of it." I explained that vitamin C doesn't just boost immunity, it is essential for producing collagen, which nourishes cartilage, repairs tissue, and improves ligament elasticity. And papain, this enzyme, is what I call the gentle cleaner. It breaks down inflammatory proteins clinging to joint tissues, reduces swelling, reduces stiffness, and most importantly, helps movement feel easier. "Your body wants to heal," I told him, "but it's missing the raw materials." He nodded, thinking more deeply than I expected. When I recommended eating papaya 5 to 6 times a week, about 150 grams each time, he agreed immediately. 3 weeks later, he returned to my office. And do you know the first thing he said? "Doctor, I walked a full lap around my neighborhood this morning. First time in almost 2 years." My friends, I've met thousands of patients in my life, but some sentences you never forget. Not because they're dramatic, not because they're extraordinary, but because they're real. It feels like their body is saying, "Finally, yes, thank you for helping me." I asked how he felt. He said, "I still feel pain, but it's a different kind. Softer. My knees aren't as swollen, and I get up faster in the morning." That is exactly how papaya works. Not dramatic, not loud, but consistently, quietly, and surely. Something many people don't know is that papaya also contains beta-carotene, a form of provitamin A, which is a powerful antioxidant that protects joint tissue from damage caused by free radicals. As we age, our bodies become more vulnerable. Every episode of inflammation wears down cartilage a little more. Papaya helps slow that process. I want you to imagine your body as a garden. If there are too many weeds, the plants cannot grow. If the soil is dry and poor flowers cannot bloom, papaya is the gentle fertilizer that enriches the soil so your body can heal itself. I remember another patient, Rosa, a 78-year-old Mexican woman with rheumatoid arthritis, an illness that made her finger joints swollen red and painful, especially at night. In her culture, papaya is a familiar fruit, but she never realized it could help her joints. I encouraged her to eat it daily. Not much, just a small serving. A month later, she returned and held out her hands. They were still slightly deformed from years of inflammation, but the skin around her joints looked lighter, less red, and noticeably less stiff. She said, her voice trembling, "I can hold a spoon more easily now, doctor. I'm so grateful." And in that moment, I realized, sometimes a single fruit can change someone's quality of life. My friends, we often think health comes only from complex things, medications, procedures, tests. But in my 30 years of practicing medicine, I've learned that health also comes from simple things. A piece of ripe papaya you eat in the morning. Imagine yourself after 30 days. You wake up, place your feet on the floor, and feel your body move a little more easily. You don't have to stand still for a few seconds waiting for stiffness to fade. Your knees don't feel like heavy stones. You don't need to push yourself up with both hands. Just lighter, softer, more alive. That is what papaya can help bring into your life. And before we move to the next part, where I'll help you build a 7-day joint recovery plan using these 5 fruits, I want to invite you to support this journey. If you find this content helpful, please like this video, share it with loved ones, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. If you have questions or personal stories, leave a comment. I read and appreciate everyone. Dear friends, now that we've walked together through the 5 most important fruits for joint health, cherries, pineapple, kiwi, avocado, and papaya, I believe many of you are beginning to see your body in a very different way. Not through complicated procedures, not through injections or long treatment plans, but through small, gentle changes that come from simple, natural things. And today in this final part, I want to tell you something I always remind my patients. Knowing is one thing. Doing is what creates change. You can watch dozens of videos, read hundreds of articles, listen to all the advice in the world. But if you never actually begin, your body will remain exactly as it feels right now. Sometimes all we need is a small, gentle plan. Something easy, something that lets us take the first steps without pressure. I want you to understand this. You don't need to change everything in one day. You don't need to start with big steps. Your body doesn't need perfection. It needs consistency. I've seen many patients try to change everything in a single week, then give up because they were overwhelmed. But I've also seen people make tiny changes. And after 30 days, they tell me, "Doctor, I didn't know my body could recover like this." Today, I want to share with you a 7-day plan, a simple, gentle guide that can open the door to the recovery you've been searching for. But before I explain the plan, I want you to pause for a few seconds and listen to your body right now. Take a deep breath in, exhale slowly. Feel your knees, your hips, your hands, your shoulders. Feel them as if you were placing your hand on the shoulder of an old friend and saying, "I'm going to take care of you from today." Your body deserves that. This plan is very simple. Each day you will add just one fruit you've learned about into your routine. No forcing, no complicated calculations, no diet, no 30-day challenge. Just a 7-day journey to restart your body's natural healing ability. I've used this plan for hundreds of older adults, from 55-year-olds who just started to feel joint pain to 80-year-olds who've lived with it for years. And surprisingly, some people begin to feel better in just 3-4 days. Not total relief, but gentle signals. Getting out of bed faster. Less swelling. See, less stuck feeling in the first steps. Sleeping better because nighttime pain eases. If you feel those small changes, it means you're on the right path. Day 1, cherries. Start simple. Add 1 cup of cherries or a glass of pure cherry juice. Not to change overnight, but to set the foundation for reducing inflammation. Day 2, pineapple. A small portion of pineapple after a meal. Think of it as clearing blocked pathways inside your body, helping blood nutrients and enzymes reach your joints more easily. Day 3, kiwi. Today is about nourishing cartilage. 1 or 2 kiwis, your choice. You're giving your body the building blocks it needs to make collagen naturally. Day 4, avocado. This is the day you lubricate your joints from the inside. Half an avocado is enough. Eat it with bread salad or simply scoop it. Feel the healthy fats entering your body like fresh oil in an old machine. Day 5, papaya. Today you help your body clean deeply with papain. Just a small serving. You're helping your body break down inflammatory molecules and free your joints. Day 6, back to cherries. You don't have to constantly change. Return to where you started. You're strengthening the habit, showing your body this is not an experiment. It's a new way of living. Day 7, combine. On the last day, choose any 2 fruits from the 5. It doesn't matter which ones. What matters is that you've begun to combine them and your body knows this is the direction you want to continue. And when you finish these 7 days, ask yourself 3 questions. How does my body feel? Is it easier to get up in the morning? Do I feel even the smallest difference? If the answer is yes, then that is your body's message. Keep going. I've told many patients, we don't heal joints with one big push. We heal them with small steps repeated every day, bit by bit, fruit by fruit, moment by moment. Each time you choose something good for your body, you are recovering. I hope that after watching this final part, you feel ready to begin. Not tomorrow, not when life gets less busy, not when you feel more prepared, but today. My friends, if these 8 parts truly touched you, if they felt meaningful for your health, I invite you to help me share this message. Please, like the video, share it with loved ones who suffer joint pain, who feel tired, who need a gentler path to healing. And please subscribe and turn on notifications because in the upcoming episodes, I will share more recipes, plans, stories, and advice to help you live your years after 50, 60, and 70 with more ease, stability, and energy. If you have questions, concerns, personal stories, or want a more detailed guide for this 7-day plan, leave a comment. I read every message, I listened to every story, and I appreciate each of your shares. Thank you for staying with me until this final part. Your body always wants to heal, and today you've given it that chance.